Welcome to the Phoenix Prosperity Podcast, where wealth meets legacy. Join your host, Tim Fergestad, as we explore the journeys of Phoenix's finest to success and beyond.
Hello, this is Tim Fergestad. Thank you for joining us. I'm very pleased to have John Lotardo with me here today. As an active member of the State Bar of Arizona and the Arizona State Escrow Association, among many other titles and accolades, John is called the best title underwriter in the state and authors articles and columns, including the popular Ask the Titleman. Welcome to the show, John.
Hi, thank you. Thank you for having me.
How many years did it take to become the title man?
Oh my God, now you're dating me. I need to sit down. Well, been doing, title and real estate for over 35 years. And so quarter of a century ago, I kind of, as I was developing in the title industry, I knew that I wanted to connect with people, both in business and in the public, with some more help and what I could do to help them achieve their goals. And so it kind of morphed into the title man. I started off originally as the real estate doctor, but I never wanted to be a doctor. I told my parents, so that quickly transitioned to title.
Okay.
So that's where.
Nice. And was that all like in the Arizona markets, or where were you based, and what markets have you been transacting in over the years?
I'm an East Coast kid growing up, but I came out to Arizona for law school. Obviously, like many folks, loved it out here for various reasons. Stayed out here and got into the title industry as a licensed attorney here in Arizona. So kind of started cutting my teeth on real estate and title in the Arizona market. Then that over the years has morphed into working on deals, not only locally, but nationally, all over the country.
Okay. What are some of the biggest endeavors you've had? Is it largely growing your practice within the national group?
Well, that is one of the successes. I've had a lot of personal achievements over the years too, a lot of different non-real estate related things. But as it relates to real estate and business, I really was able to be very fortunate. I had a lot of superiors who allowed me to grow my brand as title man and work both in the business and in the public arena to kind of help folks work through real estate and title issues. And so Title Man over the decades kind of really morphed into this bigger than me. I hate to tell you, sometimes I talk about him in the third person, which I know is odd, but in many ways he's grown bigger than I am. So
that's fun. Okay, cool. What are some common misconceptions maybe of what people think you do or don't do?
Being in the title industry, I'll give you a more serious one, and then I'll give you a little more lighthearted one.
Okay.
And the serious one is, folks don't really understand a lot of what happens in the title world, title industry world. They understand buying and selling property, working with a real estate agent perhaps, or getting a loan. But what title or what title insurance folks do and how they are a big part of a successful closing, that has been something that I've felt a mission to kind of help explain and help bridge the gap of that understanding. And so just kind of working through those. On the more humorous side, a good friend of mine, also in this industry, had gone to a big opening for a big mall on the West Coast. And someone came up to him and really congratulated him on his work. And he was very pleased. And he said, "Well, that's great. Thank you so much. Most people don't recognize that." And the person said, "Well, I heard that you were the one that did the tile work. And I think the tile work on this looks great." Title.
Yeah.
Anyway. So there you have it.
There's few few moments of appreciation. You take whatever you can get, I guess.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So for our listeners though, do you have like a elevator pitch version of what title work is? And because it's that stuff that happens behind the closed doors, when after you sign all the documents and things.
Yeah, there's two different aspects of it. When people think of title or the title business, it's really two key prospects of it. You have the true title searching, like checking the records, the court records or the county records, depending upon what you're doing, to check to make sure the person that's selling
what deeds have been recorded, liens,
exactly,
all sorts of stuff.
and the buyer can buy it, or the buyer is the right one to sign the loan documents, the mortgage or deed of trust. So there's the title researching thing, very, very particular and very related to that, and providing insurance or some form of insurance policies to protect those people who are like getting it, whether it's the insured owner or insured lender. So that's the title side. Then the other side is that front facing, I call it. The folks that you work with, after you've signed your contract, you're basically depositing your money for your new home or your data center or whatever, whether it's 100,000, 10,000, or $1 million. And that escrow person is the front facing escrow side, which deals with the paperwork back and forth, doing the setting up the accounting, the settlement statements between
coordinating
the
the transfers.
Yeah, doing all of that stuff. So, although we talk about the title industry, it has really two distinct components.
Yeah, escrow and title get merged.
Exactly. So, but they work hand in hand. Sometimes they're the same company, sometimes they're not, but they're out there.
Okay. An example for when that might be needed. Here's a simple one. You tell me what you think of it. I want to buy your house, and you inherited it from your mom. And it turns out after I buy your house, right, 6 months later, your uncle goes, "No, she gave that to me. I have the paperwork right here." Right. And talk about the insurance and how that works. Could you give a quick?
Hey, first off, that's never happened before. I've never heard this story.
Well, how often does something like that happen? I'd like to.
Well, it does. The problem for me is, I've heard everything, over the decades.
Okay.
It's very unusual to have those problems in the real world. It's just that I'm used to seeing all of the problems. Like right before our call, I got an odd call on a conservatorship type of question. They were trying to figure out deeds and whatnot. So it happens. It's just I see more of it.
Yeah, but it happens very, very rarely.
Yeah, well, when you think about it, I forget. I'm kind of glad when I go out to see the general public and see other folks, because I'm so used to seeing all of the things that could happen happening.
Sure. It's like my wife is a physician. She's in the hospital all the time. She always sees people in trouble and sick and these issues. And it's nice to get out and go,
Exactly. Go down the street. There's tons of happy people in coffee shops, just sitting around in good health. Same thing for me, going out and talking to the public and talking to folks in industry. Most of the time, most things work amazingly well. We're really fortunate, especially here in the United States. We have very strong real estate records and a lot of policies and processes that works really well. So in your case, though, it does happen eventually. I was kidding around earlier, but it does, family issues.
Well, some people think I got a signed document, I'm good. And it's like, yeah, but you never recorded it. Nobody knows about it. So in that situation, your uncle is mad at me. So let's just go from there.
I am gonna play the attorney card and say, well, it depends, because a lot of times, as you could tell, love to talk to people. And really the devil's in those details, like you had said. Like, if someone is disputing that they own it, what you just got the property, and you don't own it, then the first thing is going to want to do is contact your title company. If you work that transaction through a title company, if you didn't, you're probably going to have to touch base with an attorney. Now
you go to court and you have all those things.
Yeah, you want to definitely avoid the court process as much as possible. I mean, it's there for a reason, but that's really last resort. I always try to find non-litigious solutions if we can, just because
Right.
it saves time and money, you know.
Yep. Yep.
But sometimes you have to go there. You know, I had a good friend I was talking to the other day, and unfortunately, working through a business issue with a former a business partner that is no longer working well, and trying to figure out, do I have to sue for petition where they separate the property in court? I'm like, well, maybe you want to figure out something less than that, because that's a lot of work, spends a lot of money, and spends a
Mhm.
lot of time. So, um, but in your case, yeah, the first thing is, if you have a dispute, if you dealt with a title company, circle back with them. Maybe you have a title policy. Maybe they can explain if there's coverage under your title policy or not. You know.
Okay. Okay. And then the insurance ideally would cover my down payment if your uncle really did own it, and that's what insurance helps mitigate those risks and costs.
Well, it's more complicated than that, because if you had a title policy that said you own this piece of property
Hmm.
and there's no exceptions or excuses to detract from that, and this other person is attacking your interest,
Right.
the title company, there's some duty to defend in your
Yeah.
policy built in to protect you.
Right.
Or say there was some other dispute, maybe you are wrong, and maybe your uncle is entitled to it, and so what would you be entitled to recover
Hmm.
from the title company under the title
Right.
policy? But all very fact specific. So that's why
Yeah.
I do a lot
Sure.
of talking to folks locally and nationally. They kind of pick my brain on things all the time about, hey, I got
Mhm.
this problem, what do I do?
Right.
It's very fact specific. So nine times
Sure.
out of 10, I'm
Sure.
on the phone talking through
Sure.
all of those 20 questions.
Right. Okay. Okay. Do you enjoy those puzzles?
Absolutely. I mean, and sometimes I even get paid for it as an expert, so it's great.
Sweet. Okay.
But I always give a friends and family discount. So there you go.
Nice. I did have somebody on. She was in my industry in the biomedical field, but
Mhm.
she's also an attorney and she does forensics and she's a criminal witness on things like that as well. So, how often do you go to court to testify for on behalf of such cases?
Well, I don't. Once again, court is of last resort. So even though there's litigation going on,
Hmm.
I don't really show up in court very often. I mean, I've been
Okay.
doing the expert witness 20 plus years now.
Okay.
And most of the time, it's pleadings, like paperwork back and forth, you
Right.
know.
Right.
Um,
So.
like I have a few right now that I'm working on, but some of them are really just working through identifying what the problem is and what I believe actually happened, or
Right.
what the solution is.
Right.
And sometimes that works. I was doing a case a few months ago, and the judge was able to figure out who I was just by figuring out some of the testimony, even though they didn't know me by name. Like the report didn't have
Right.
my name on it. They figured, oh, yeah, so now we
That's a
know
title
who it
man.
is. Yeah, exactly. So
Okay.
sometimes the conversation just moves along. So I'm not really in court as much, but that's a good thing.
Right, right. Okay, okay. Thanks, John. So, can you talk about maybe some of the biggest challenges you've had to overcome in your career? It could be your company or personally.
hmm Well, I think it really has to do with resources. I think anyone who's going to be listening to your podcast is going to try to understand that whole idea of resources. You only have so much of you.
Hmm.
You have all of this that you want to accomplish. There's all these needs that need to be addressed. And so managing what I want to accomplish and what I have the resources to accomplish. So it's more of a time work thing. Everyone can appreciate that, whether it's in their personal or professional life. And that's
Right.
really one of the challenges that I've had. I've had all of these wonderful opportunities. And so I'm just trying to, over the years, try to juggle. How do I get to do as many as I can? How do I get to help as many people as I can? Uh,
Right.
so I find that, but that's very universal. So I didn't really have a special. I was really fortunate because I had a lot of support. But that whole idea of you know having the opportunity to get everything done that you want to.
Sure,
So,
sure. No, it's a good challenge point because resources is a big challenge and trying to be successful in any industry or two requires you saying no to a lot of really good options. That's a
Mhm.
struggle that I have. So
Yeah.
that I think it was Steve Jobs who said something to that effect, or Warren Buffett as well. He's like, right, in order to be good at something, you have to say no to all sorts of other really good options, and that's hard sometimes.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, for me, and sometimes the more you do things, the uh, more pressure. You know what I mean? When I'm dealing with these, I was handling big, large, billion-dollar deals across the country, and time pressure, and a bunch of people looking at me saying, "What are we going to do? Something's broken. Fix it." And
Right.
so I was really good at that. Not that I was like in the emergency room, but it did feel like it. I'm doing this,
Yeah.
moving people
Triage.
around and navigate. Yeah, exactly. So I wanted to stay in the medical field, but for some reason I felt like it was more bloodshed in some of the deals I handled than if I was in the nursing room. So go figure.
All right, John, pivoting a little bit here. I could
Mhm.
talk real estate. Like maybe I'll have you back for another show or two. We could keep going. What have you done in the last 12 months that has changed your life?
Well, for me, I mean, the biggest change is this past year, I've transitioned from full-time employment to a consulting position. I still have all of these other things. I know. Thank you. I hear
Yay.
the applause. Yay. Balloons. I'm just really fortunate, the folks that I work with have been great. They're still great because I'm still
Mhm.
interacting with them on a regular basis, every week. At one point, it was every day. Now it's like a little slower, which is
Right.
good because I have all these other projects. So transitioning from a full time into consulting and still doing all those other, I call it the other Titleman things and
Right.
the John things.
Okay.
Uh,
Yep.
that was a big change for me. I'm navigating it really well though, so I'm
Okay.
okay.
Awesome. That's very exciting. That's great because so many people get stuck working in the business, not on the business, and being in more of a visionary role, you can have, I think, a much greater impact, which is awesome.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's where I've been. So that's why that third party, third person thing, I'm kind of used to that because I can like see the issue and step back and be over here.
Right.
So the whole
Yeah.
third person title man, I'm kind of used to that
Yeah.
odd,
Yeah.
dichotomy.
But yeah, it's certainly that's a good point, right? Maybe we all need to be able to change hats with in the third person to take on the different roles required for certain
Mhm.
things. Um, okay, similar to that one now, because I'm getting a little more deep in some of my my questions on some people I have on the show. Legacy, right? This is the Phoenix Prosperity Podcast. I was wondering, you've had a big impact in the title world. What other things? Because you seem to like a lot of high achievers, like to branch out into different aspects of your life and world. Can you talk a little bit about what your goals or some impact you want to have in those?
Yeah, for sure. And one thing to jump off from the title world and real
Mhm.
estate world a little bit, one of the things I was uh, very passionate about is setting up continuing legacy type of programs within the industry. So, for
Okay.
example, the local title association, over the past year or two, I developed a mentorship program.
Okay. Nice.
It's part of a free service, customer service to the industry where mentors are connected with mentees to work through, not necessarily like technical stuff, like whether this endorsement or that endorsement, not like company
Sure. Big
related
picture stuff.
stuff,
Yeah.
big picture stuff, personal development, dealing with the struggles that are more prone to occur in this industry, and how to work through. Sometimes you just
Right.
need a body to talk with,
Sure.
and so I developed that, and so that was really one of the highlights because I kind of wanted to pass the baton
Yeah,
uh,
that's awesome.
in fashion. So that was kind of like a fun thing that I related to that.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah, that's great.
I mean, the
Okay.
larger legacy stuff, hey, like anybody, you kind of want to be well respected and well liked. And so I kind of have been working that all my years. How can I be respected and also be well liked in the industry and in my the larger non-industry personal endeavors. You know what I mean? So I kind of just move some of that resources and those energies outside to other activities, whether it's all these other things that I've been doing.
Okay. Do you have anything exciting, any initiatives coming up in the next 6-12 months?
Well, I mean, for me, the big thing is, like I mentioned, my last name is Lotardo, which is Italian. And so I was able to obtain a dual citizenship a few years ago, actually during the pandemic. It was kind of crazy. But
Italy was hit hard and shut down big during the pandemic.
Absolutely. That whole idea of boundaries and stuff, it was a big thing for them. But so we frequent there a lot.
Okay. Where do you go? I love Italy. We like going there too.
It's great. I'm not going to compare the things I love. I mean, we love the different areas and stuff like that. And
Lake Como is gorgeous up there. It's just amazing. I want to go back up there some more, but Tuscany's my wife's favorite.
Excellent. Yeah, actually, we were just there in Florence as part of my exiting transition kind of thing. We did a couple weeks in Florence and Portofino.
Nice.
Got to practice my improving Italian.
Oh, very cool. Very cool.
Sì, certo, assolutamente. So we're working on it. It's hard to do the Italian without the New York accent. So I
bet. That's funny. Okay. Florence is great. I keep getting annoyed with because whenever I'm there, I can't. Just south of is it the
Uffizi, maybe?
Huh?
South of the Uffizi Gallery?
Yeah, right next to there's like the Museo Galileo right next door. But then if you go south, you can go down to the estate where he was imprisoned by the church, right? And he was like dropping things out of windows and doing all that. It's like a mile walk south or something. I've just never made it down there. I keep wanting to go check out that.
You don't have to walk very far in a lot of Italian cities to find history. Okay.
Right.
I rarely now go to real big museums when I'm in Italy because I usually am walking the cities and finding the history just right there. So
yeah, a lot more immersive. It's I enjoy it too. Awesome. Okay. Yeah, this summer we hiked across the UK. We hiked Hadrian's Wall. If you're familiar, the old Roman wall that separates England from Scotland.
Oh yeah. Anyway, yes.
There's a lot of museums and forts and stuff that along the way there, and I just like thousands of years old, so it's just super cool. Anyway,
and we've even rented a car, so I've been doing my driving.
Okay, in Italy?
Oh yeah,
or England. Okay.
In Italy, not England. I haven't made it to England yet, so that'll be my next stop. So
okay,
I always get spoiled whenever I'm going to go to Europe. I'm like, let's go to Italy, let's go to France, especially easy to get there from here. So
yeah, driving in those old cities though is not trivial.
Driving on a cliff.
Rome is so tight, and some of those you can't. And Cinque Terre, right? They don't even let cars drive in there, right? Right up on the Riviera. Oh.
Well, they have buses. I don't know how they do it. Anyway, it's good for practice, but I can definitely see I was there for any length of time, just having a little Vespa to scoot around.
Oh, heck yeah.
It's really fun. But it kind of reminds me, so when we're here in America, especially here in Arizona where I'm based, driving on the freeways and I see people doing crazy certain activities, I'm like, they must be from Italy.
Right?
It could be a relative. Don't honk at them.
Yeah. That's a good life lesson. So sorry, I sort of derailed us there. But so you're trying to get more time in Italy? You're looking to get in a place there? What were you
No, everyone who knows me, they're like, oh, you're going to move there? I'm like, no. I love Italy. I love the Italian culture, the language, all of that, and connecting with folks. But we have it really, even with all of the problems, which hopefully we won't go into them now, but we have a lot of challenges here, but we have really a lot of wonderful things here in Arizona and the States in general. So I really love this as my home base.
Okay.
I could definitely plan to go there, but I don't know. I'd
Okay.
be terrible about buying a house because, I'd always be worried about what could go wrong because of my history. I'm like, it's like, I'd be worrying about, oh, did I do it right? And is
Right.
there a problem? I'm like, I don't want those issues
Whole
now.
nother set of rules to learn. Yep. Okay. Funny, funny. So, yeah, it's kind of, I'm here by choice too, right? I like to go there, but yeah, it's amazing here. There's some pretty good stuff. I've met some pretty good Italians here locally. It's kind of funny, actually. I was in, I was talking to a winemaker in Verona who anyway, he said the best pizza he's ever had in his life is in Chicago, and I was like, what? Right? But he said no, it's not deep dish, right? He said it was this guy from Naples who
Yeah.
trained in Naples who set up a place there, and so I've been there and met him. But he has a house next to me here in Arizona. The guy who owns the place in Chicago, so it's kind of funny, small
Wow,
world,
small world, huh?
right? Anyway, okay, so wrapping things up, I have a reflection question for you. What do you wish you knew sooner about building wealth and success earlier in your career?
I think that. I think I would have been less stressed about the journey. I think I did really well. I was very fortunate, very grateful to have made a lot of good decisions. But worrying about uh, making the decisions, the correct ones, and worrying about being successful and worrying about, in general, just
Okay.
realizing that uh, things will work out because they always do. It's a catchphrase of mine. Um, and so less of the worrying and just truly
Okay.
being in more of the moment, getting
Right.
into the
Okay.
flow, the proverbial flow more.
Right. Right. Okay. That's a good one. Thank you. Thank you, John. So, um, yeah, that's a tough one because that may have also been part of the drive for your success, right?
Yeah, well, it's always easy to be more critical of the past or
Sure.
more positive about it. I'm not sure. I have a little of both,
Yeah,
but
the
yes,
nostalgia.
you are who you are and where you are because of your journey.
Yep.
So
Yep.
yeah, that's why it's hard. I don't really want to change much of it because a lot of tough things that I didn't like at the moment drove me and developed me to move on to bigger and better things. So if I didn't
Right.
have those struggles, I may not have. But you know
Right.
that
I got
you
that.
know
I got that question yesterday. I was on Rafael Cortez's CEO Pulse Cup podcast here in town, and he has a really nice studio set up. It was great. But he asked me a question like that. What would you tell your 17-year-old self? And I was like, yeah, my 17-year-old self wasn't ready to hear it. Right? It was my first thing was work more on yourself and self-development and all that stuff. And because I stopped doing that because I'm a techie and I learned all sorts of technical skills, but I stopped working on myself for a long time, which was a mistake. But yeah, when you're that age, you're like, nah, I know everything and I'm
Yeah, I don't
invincible.
want to be ageist, but what 17-year-old wants to hear from someone older person telling them what to do?
Right? Even if it's themselves, their future self, they'd
It
still be
doesn't
like, yeah.
matter. You still look like your dad. You're not going to listen.
Right? But
Yeah.
it's there's good stress and bad stress, right? I guess is maybe the way to think about it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Being more self-aware. I mean, I've been developing that more self-awareness and understanding, my successes and some of my blind spots. You know,
Right.
um, even coming into this change this past year is like, I think I was ready for it, but I know that I knew I didn't have all the answers, and I know that I would not have all the answers
Right.
until things developed and I did them on the fly or whatever. So that as you get older and as you're working through basically your road through prosperity, whether
Right.
financial or personal, that's the thing to understand. You garner and you develop all the skills. You interact and you try to collect information and data, kind of like what you do all the time, developing the prosperity, basically getting all the infrastructure in place, and then you have to let it be. And that's where I found my greatest success, is to let it be once you've assembled all of those tools.
Right. Embrace it. Okay. Very cool. Very cool. All right, Titleman, if people want to connect with you and learn more, where can they go? What should they do?
Sure. Well, it's easy to track down Titleman just by Googling it, but email is titleman@askthetitleman.com. Very long when I'm telling people over the phone, but it's catchy. So as long as you know it, it's easy to type it.
All right. Okay. Well, thank you everybody for listening and watching. Thank you very much, John Lotardo, for joining me today. Very much appreciate it. It's good insights. I think I would like to have you back on maybe in 6 months. We can check in again. And there's so much we didn't talk about that you have a lot of interesting stuff going on. So anyway, thank you again for sharing.
Inspired by our guests? Visit phoenixprosperitypodcast.com/guest and join us on the show and share your success story with Tim. The spotlight awaits.